Welcome back. I'm Edge Venka. I'm here with Mrs. Noeline Levens-Clark, National AIDS Program Coordinator, and Miss Kenya Jeffers. Well, you didn't get your title, Kenya.
Public Health Officer.
Public Health Officer. Yes, and we're going to be talking about the National AIDS Program generally, and this is good because we haven't really had a report, and you got a list of stuff here. It's a lot. It's good to see you. Welcome to Spotlight.
Thank you very much.
Now, I have a table here. It says June 1985. Was that like the first time that statistics were being kept on HIV?
It was the first time that the Ministry of Health and Social Development in the Virgin Islands received a report of someone being infected with HIV. June 1985.
Okay, so June 1985 to December 2007, we had 68
Cases
reported. Okay. Well, and we have to say that what's reported, and reported is the operative word here.
Right.
Because you could have maybe 4 to 5 times more than what is actually reported, because people go overseas, with the stigma and all attached, people don't want to really
That's correct.
Be known.
Right.
So you had 68 cases. And then January to December 2008, you had 9 cases.
Right.
January to December 2009, you had 9 cases. These are new cases. New cases.
Reported cases, yes.
New reported cases. January to December 2010, you had 7. January to December 2011, you had 6. January to December 2012, you had 5. And from January to April to now, you have 5 reported cases. So can we say from your table here that HIV is perhaps the infection rate is slowing? And I know the Caribbean, we are saying in the Caribbean the infection rate is slowing.
It appears so.
It appears to be
It appears so.
So the publicity, the public information, all your programs of condom use and safe sex practices and so on seem to be having.
They seem to be working.
Having an effect.
Yes.
That's good. Now, up until now, we had 37
AIDS-related deaths. Recently, as recent as
December
2012. This year was our most recent death.
Okay.
Yeah, 2009 we had one, 2010 we had one, and then this year.
Okay. What about the transmission from mother to
child transmission? Like
yeah.
I said, we've had 5 women in the BVA who have had HIV, given birth, and out of the 5, we've had 2 who passed infection on. So in 2006, that baby died, and the one that was born in 2011, that child is still alive and on treatment.
Okay. So how many cases are you treating now of HIV infected persons?
Over 30 persons are receiving care and treatment.
And are these people living with HIV? And is it being managed and they having normal lives?
They're going about their daily activities, living among us, and they're doing very well. Majority of them.
Now, and to me, I don't know if that seems to be a dangerous thing to me. That it could make us become complacent.
And I think that's where we're at right now. I mean, it's like, I think right now the BVA is like HIV. We've had enough, we've heard enough, and we haven't, many people in the BVA, I can say, don't know anybody with HIV, have never experienced HIV besides the media, and so it's not as personal. It only becomes personal when someone you know, especially someone close to you, because I've had friends who said, I had a brother who had HIV, I had an uncle, that kind of thing. They would understand, but the majority of persons, it's like really, really far-fetched. So we've gotten to a point where, hey, you can live long. Magic Johnson has been living for over 25 years. So what's the big deal?
Well, and having said that, it seems as though the international AIDS power structure, if I'm to call it that, is talking now about HIV as a communicable chronic disease.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
it's a disease that you have to live with for the rest of your life. It can be managed. But the only difference from diabetes or high blood pressure is that it can be passed on through unprotected sex.
So they put it right in that category.
Yes.
Well, and that's good and bad.
It's good.
You think it's
more good than bad.
It's more good. Okay, and it's good. Is it good from a financial resources sense?
Financially, I think Yes, because it's no longer separate and apart out there on its own. Because that's how we treated HIV. I mean, we had sugar, pressure, cholesterol, all these different problems, and HIV was like, the big scare. If you had that, it was like, oh my God. But now, classing it with the other chronic diseases, we can spend money to prevent these diseases in one group, in one go.
Okay.
Right.
So does that diminish the stigma?
I think it does.
Okay. So it's not as frightful as it used to be. So we're not afraid. We're no longer afraid to touch people who have HIV and to embrace them and.
They're no longer looking scary, skinny, sickly. People are not dying like before. So it's much easier now to deal with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how is the sexuality in the community? I mean, are we having a lot of incidences? Okay, are you able to tell us whether we're having lots of incidences of unprotected sex, or we know anything about youth sexuality and health? I mean, well, yeah. What is our sexuality quotient?
Kenny, what do you think? What's our sexuality quotient?
Yeah, what is our sexuality quotient?
I think personally that a lot of persons are more conscious now than before. What I'm happy to say is that, or share, is that a lot more men are coming in for HIV testing.
Okay.
That's something we've never seen before. Usually it was more women, and then women were getting pregnant, so they were tested at the clinics, or they would come for tests, But a lot more men are accessing testing, and especially men who said, something, I slept with somebody new, the condom broke, I need to know. And that shows a level of responsibility. They're taking ownership for their sexuality. I mean, yes, it's scary, but at the end of the day, they're still stepping up to the plate and saying, I need to know because I need to protect my wife or my partner.
I stopped by your office the other day, and I see you packing your condom
Condoms,
jars. You got they look like
Yes.
candy in a jar, right?
Yes.
And it was interesting to me because it's like the stuff is going. It's like you could almost start selling that stuff. It's like no, but people have been taking a lot of condoms from you, and
People has actually been calling in and placing orders for condoms.
really.
Yeah, what we do is we collect a donation. We don't give them out free anymore, and they're actually taking responsibility for themselves, but actually coming and giving us a donation for the condoms.
So, but I mean, I know you're saying that it's not free anymore, but it's free, but you free to make it's a free will, it's a free will offering, like a church like to say, it's a free will offering.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, but you have a lot of you give out a lot of condoms, so more and more people are practicing safe sex.
Yes.
Okay. And you have female condoms as well as male condoms.
And female,
female
yes,
condoms. Yes. And you had you just completed a youth health and sexuality study. And
we completed that early last year. PAHO analyzed the data and gave us a report. It has been sent to cabinet, and then it will become a public document. And the findings were kind of consistent with the Caribbean, but a little bit unique. Some of the things were very, very astonishing.
What were you trying to find out?
We wanted to find out everything about youth health. When it comes to suicide, sex and sexuality, abortion rate, exercise, diet,
I think we
sexual
abuse as well.
Yes. Just assessing where our youth are in the community in terms of health on a whole.
Oh, so when that comes out, we gotta come back and talk about that.
Yes.
Awesome study. Yes.
Report. Now, World AIDS Day
last year.
What you got something to report about that?
If we got some report.
I mean, you have something to report. Well, how did that
Basically,
go?
we had Tanya Stevens. I think her presentation was awesome. It hit the nail on the head where stigma and discrimination is concerned. I think a lot of our persons in our community have moved on from, and like I say, many people don't know people who are infected, and that's a good thing. And Tanya spoke. The only bad thing is that it was not well supported, and I think we've come to the conclusion that having an activity of that magnitude is not as feasible anymore.
Even though I had a good time.
You had a good time there because you came.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
there was a lot of information sharing,
Yes.
a lot of discussion.
Yes. Debate.
We
Yes.
had some heated. Matter of fact, I didn't think Tanya wanted to leave. We were going at it.
Yes.
You know.
Yes,
so.
and Tanya showed different perspectives. She shared where a lot of us are doing things that are no longer working. How can you tell a child who is feeling sexual feelings to abstain, to wait, and not teach them how to manage their sexuality? There's a lot of talk about not prohibiting, but providing protection, encouraging protection. You know, there are a lot of theories out there. She believes abstinence is dinosaur. But our Youth Health and Sexuality Surveys showed that about 37% of our young people are still abstaining.
waiting, yeah.
They're still waiting. So it's not
Okay.
every young person out there
That's
that's
a
having
good. That's
sex.
a good. That's not a bad
Yes.
percentage. That's a
Right.
surprising statistic.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
because I mean, so you could say approximately 40%.
Yes.
Which is almost half.
yes.
Right.
So that's a
Right.
good rate.
It's encouraging.
Yeah, that's encouraging.
Yeah.
We had a completion of a BVI epidemiological profile for HIV/AIDS. What does that mean?
PAHO wanted all countries to show where we are with HIV. So from whence we started, how many persons were infected with HIV, how many of those persons or what percentage contracted it through homosexual means, heterosexual. We had to categorize all parts of the infection. What percentage in East End, Virgin Gorda, that kind of thing. Age range. For the BVA, how many persons were coming from the outside as opposed to how many were locals. Because a lot of people are still of the opinion that people are bringing it in from outside, and that's not true. So we had to do an epi profile to show where we are. And that document is at the surveillance unit in the Ministry of Health. Anyone can have a look at it to see exactly where we stand.
Okay. What we should do is we should put the phone numbers up on the screen. If persons want to text, somebody is calling me on a text line. So that person needs to hang up and call me on the regular line or text on it. Stop the buzzing and put the phone numbers up. So if you want to call and make a comment, ask a question, please feel free to do that. If you want, you could text. And if you want your voice to be heard, we talk about distribution of condoms, health commodities, and conducting of rapid HIV tests.
Right. People walk into the National AIDS Program, even though we have had regional testing day for the last 3 years.
Yes.
Right. A lot of persons prefer to come into the National AIDS Program to have a free HIV test. HIV testing is offered at all community health clinics now. So anyone can go into any clinic in their community and get a test done. They can go to any doctor, any private doctor. But they can also come into the National AIDS Program and have it done free.
I just thought of something.
What?
You know, when you're going to the National AIDS Program, nobody know where you're going.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody don't know where you're going. You will be going to any number of places in that building.
Training, public health unit,
National Health
National Health
Insurance.
Insurance. Yes.
Yeah, so you need to so the testing facilities need to be on the top floor of some building.
Remember, we're trying to normalize it. So at the end of the day, wherever you could get it, yeah.
This true, but no, but that's interesting though, isn't it? Though that people come and I would say I attribute that to you, because you have a certain way with people and they feel comfortable with you and they feel that their secret is safe with you.
Kenya as well. I mean, Kenya does testing. I mean, she's tested persons who found out that they were positive. She's done a great job. I think she could talk more about the contact tracing. That has been one of our biggest challenges.
What is contact tracing?
Contact tracers. If we get someone that is positive, then we'll have to find out from them who they have had sex with over 10 years. And then we will have to go and contact those persons and also find out. We also have to test them and find out who they have slept with, and it's like a never-ending cycle.
So is that mandatory or that's a voluntary?
No.
It's
No.
mandatory.
Once you are infected with HIV, you're required to tell us who were your sex partners over the last.
That's
10
in line
years.
with BVI.
It is in our policy.
It's in the policy.
Yes, we drafted a national policies and protocols for the management of HIV and other STIs. We have our own booklet in the BVI, the British Virgin Islands. And other Caribbean countries are asking for a copy. So every health center in the BVI have this, and it is a requirement. We must follow up.
Right.
Because there are persons out there who are infected and have no idea that someone that they slept with a couple of years ago, couple of weeks ago, couple of days ago was infected with HIV.
It also covers other sexually transmitted infections, not just HIV/AIDS.
Syphilis, herpes, the works. How we manage it within the health sector.
Right.
Okay. So once you tested positive for one of these STDs, including HIV, then the both of you.
Not us. It's actually Nurse Lucy Martin. She is responsible for doing the follow-up, but we've received some calls to assist. And I think the reality hit us when we went out into the field, and it's like, it's a never-ending cycle.
But so how you get people to tell you who they slept with?
No. How we get people to tell us?
Yeah, I mean,
Believe me, Carmen,
They
people
tell
would rather
you?
tell us than go tell the persons themselves.
Okay, so, okay.
But when we go to that person, we do not tell them who gave us the names. We can't do that.
Right. So someone you've slept with in the past
Right.
was tested for HIV, and you may be at risk.
So if I have HIV, I'll tell you who I've slept with in the past.
10 years.
In the past
We
10
give you an
years.
option, do you want to go home and tell your wife, tell your past girlfriends, or would you prefer for us to do it? We give you that option. And some people insist they have to be the one, but not many people.
So you'll go and tell my wife for me
If
if that's what I
if that's what you prefer.
Okay, so I make sure my suitcase is packed and I'm not going back home, right? Yeah. But that's interesting. And so you go as far back. You could go as far back as dozens and dozens of people,
Right.
years and years and years. That's a tedious process.
It is.
And that's important to have done.
And that is where I think a lot of people don't understand how significant HIV is. A lot of us feel it's out there, only a few persons have it, but we show students every day that 2 persons in this country could have HIV and could wipe out this entire nation just by their sexual practices, because people sleep with people. So you can sleep with Kenya, then Kenya sleeps with somebody else, that somebody sleep with 3 other people, those 3 other people sleep with 5 people, that kind of thing, and the cycle continues. And in no time.
You remember we had that lady, like I was on the show, and she demonstrated like a handshake. You shake somebody's hand,
Right.
and then you get you contract a disease, and they shake some, and you just keep shaking hands.
simple as that.
As simple as that. Yeah. Good night, everyone. Nurse Clark, is it mandatory to keep HIV as a secret among your peers? How can you gain trust living that way? Highlight with a better understanding, please.
Is it?
Is it mandatory to keep HIV as a secret among your peers?
Okay, let me answer that first. Disclosure is an individual's choice. No one has to know if you don't want them to know. It's your business. So I would say, no, it's not.
Okay, so you don't have to tell anybody.
You don't have to tell anybody if you don't want. If you wish to, because I know some persons who are infected,
But
they've chosen to
We
tell
do encourage that they find this one person
that
at
they
least
trust,
that they trust,
a family member,
because
friend,
it helps them mentally.
support.
Right.
Well, let me make sure I understand this. If they go to get tested and test positive, don't they have to follow the protocols in this book?
For management, this is for clinicians, this is for doctors and nurses, and how to manage people. But persons who are infected, it's up to them who they want to tell. Like Kenny was saying, I can decide if I want to tell my mother, my sister, who I trust more. Because some people can't tell their family. So they usually hide, and it's more stressful on them.
Okay.
So we encourage them to tell, but it's not mandatory. They don't have to. It's their choice. When, how, why they want to tell someone.
Okay, cool.
There's another part to that question, though.
Oh, yeah, well, okay. How can you gain trust living that way?
You don't understand.
I ain't quite understand it.
How can you gain trust?
Living with
the
keeping it a secret.
That person will probably have to text in and clarify exactly what they want to know. It's not clear.
You need clarification on that. Okay, and of course you're distributing condoms. You have the final draft of the Virgin Islands National Strategic Plan for HIV.
Yes, we do. And you are part of the process, the media.
And when is that going to be made public? That has to go to...
It went to cabinet, but we're doing some finalizing, just making sure that every sector knows the part that they have to play in managing HIV. Like I said, the government is strategically putting emphasis on HIV because we're part of a 5-year project. And that 5-year project comes to an end in another year and a half. We have funds available, so as a country, we need to utilize those funds to our advantage. Yeah, capitalize on them, put systems in place, so that when the money ends, we can manage as a country with HIV, no matter how severe it may get.
We are having regional testing this year?
We are having regional testing, but we're making a change to it. We're not doing it the same as before. We met with Scotia staff today.
Right.
And yeah, you could probably share some more plans, just briefly, not
Not into detail.
not into details.
Over the past 3 years, we have been going to Scotiabank, the offices in Tortola and Virgin Gorda. We've also been going to the clinics in Antigua and Just Van Dyke to do testing. But this year we want to do testing. We'll still do it in Scotiabank offices in Virgin Gorda on the Wednesday, which is the 26th, right?
Yeah. So when is the testing day?
Regional testing day, we're the 28th of June.
Okay.
So on the 26th, we want to do Virgin Gorda, Antigua, and Just Van Dyke. And on the 28th, which is a Friday, we would like to have a health fair where we'll invite the Diabetes Association, Cancer Society, Health Service Authority to do other health screenings, and we will be there doing the...
And where are you going to have that?
We would like to do it in the Noah Light Action Park, yes.
Okay. And you're going to have testing, and who wants to have testing outdoors, they have testing as well?
Yes.
Music, yeah, just everything there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want.
No, testing has changed over the years. What state is testing at right now in terms of the speed, the effectiveness, efficiency
Very
of
good
testing?
question. Years ago, I remember when I had my first HIV test done, probably like 18, 19 years ago, it used to take 6 weeks. They used to take blood, send it away via the lab, and it would be the most horrific 6 weeks of your life because every day wondering what if. All right, so it's now 20 minutes, and now we have test kits that are giving you the results in 10 minutes. And we now have at-home test kits, so you can actually
do it yourself.
You could order it online, comes to you in your mail, and you do your test at home.
Okay, so that's cool. And you didn't bring no test for me?
No, not this year, because you've been having tests like twice a year, and it's been very serious. I think your body needs a break, and hopefully you've been behaving yourself.
Yes, I've been behaving myself.
Very good.
Okay, and we found out at 10 o'clock. What I need to ask you quick before we go?
What do you need to ask me?
Yeah. what you want to say?
What I would like to say is BVI, like I said, I'm proud especially of the men and the young persons, the youth in our country that have stepped up and taken responsibility, especially high school students, college age students who said, Ms. Clark, we want to get tested. They come in groups, they come in by themselves, but they're making a conscious effort. And I think that health-seeking behavior sets the pace for responsibility of one's sexuality. Once you do your test, you know where you stand, and you will not afford to allow anybody to share your body unless they get tested too. So I'm proud of you. Keep up the good work, and we will continue to do what we have to do on our end to make sure that HIV stays far away from the BVA.
Okay, and we have to make a date to come back just before regional testing day.
Yes.
So you could get more time, and we could get because you've done a lot of work over the years. So it's 5 years.
I've been there for the last 5 years. Kenya, the last 2?
Yeah.
2.5, because she spent some time with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, so you've been. I mean, you really worked this thing, and I have to give you a lot of props.
Thank you.
For your work with the National AIDS Program.
Couldn't do it without the volunteers, the many volunteers that have taken time out to work with us throughout the year. Most of the persons you saw there at HLSCC and World AIDS Day, they've been working with us throughout, doing HIV counseling and testing. They've been trained, and they have a passion for the cause. The Leo Club of Tortola, I mean, I can go on and on. It's been really good. The support from the community has been awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think your dynamic personality certainly has driven the success that we've had over the years that you've been there, and I think you should be complimented.
God and Virgin Gorda has a lot to do with that.
Yes, and I certainly want to compliment you for that, because I remember when you were appointed,
Yes.
and we had a lot to say.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
we had a lot to say.
Yeah.
So I gotta big you up. You did a good job. You stuck with it, and I mean, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Ms. Jeffers as well. Sorry we don't get to talk to you more. But we're going to get back in June, and we're going to chat some more about HIV and the BVI. Spotlight, of course, is broadcast on Sundays at 2:30. in the afternoon. So make sure you check us out. Don't forget to go to the lecture on Thursday the 23rd at Eileen L. Parsons Auditorium, and you could see Spotlight on demand at jtvlive.net. Next week's Spotlight will be, of course, on Sean Rose with the stories making the news. And Brother Mead Malone is going to be here talking about the upcoming workshop entitled Power Your Breakthrough with, and of course, he's going to be talking about his friends. So make sure you check us out right here next week on Spotlight. Thank you for watching. Of course, continue to email us at jtvspotlight@yahoo.com. I'm Ed Juenka, reminding you that when the spotlight is on, you see the facts. Peace and blessings.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Clarence Thomas Limited, the BVI Tourist Board, and CCT Global Communications.